of the Norfolk, Virginia school district that has increased parent engagement by having this very festive fall family college. Now, you know what? As somebody who, in my 30 years of teaching, I worked for the Division of Indian Work and Anderson Open School and a United Way program to increase American Indian involvement in the community and retain, or in the school community, and to retain American students, Indian students, longer so they graduated. Anyway, going back to that, Norfolk, Virginia has this wonderful fall family college. Now, that to me is an inviting name. We currently have 7 schools that we're using for a parent academy. Now, you know what? I really applaud the idea. It's necessary. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing to reach out to your community and make sure that they know how to become engaged, that they know how to teach their skills, that they're trained in new math, you know, all these other wonderful things. But we could spend a little more time and even a few dollars figuring out how to make that term a little more inviting than Parent Academy. Quite frankly, sorry. That just doesn't float.
Yeah.
Can I get back to just a
increase family engagement?
I just want to get back to the simple solution to the $40,000 payment to the superintendent. As you know, I answered, my simple solution would be, I made a living negotiating contracts for 35 years, and the simple solution where everybody would have been happy is to let our new superintendent remain where she is. She would have been happy, and just eliminate the clause, must live within the city of St. Paul. It's she's living in a bedroom community. It's 10 miles away. It's pretty simple, really, and we could have put $40,000 back into the classroom.
Well, Pat, we heard it last night.
From?
We heard it last night from another board member at the candidate forum we were at. Our hands are tied.
Oh, that's right.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, they say our hands are tied, and they're tied because.
Would you eliminate that clause permanently, or just for this particular one until a contract is up?
That employee. Yeah, just for that employee. The superintendent.
But only Silva this time around, not for all superintendents.
No, they sign an individual contract, and you know.
If you move someone in from out of town, you're going to pay relocation expenses anyway. So then, sure, require them to live in the city. But for a superintendent who's worked in the district for over 20 years, whose children have attended St. Paul schools, you don't need to require her to move to St. Paul. She knows St. Paul.
So just not as a rigid requirement.
It's been a hot story in St. Paul the last
yeah, it really has.
But $40,000 is nothing compared to $6 million and $2 million. I mean,
well, that's right. But I think the key thing here is principles.
Yes.
And you know, one thing I'm a little concerned about with the $40,000 requiring her to live in St. Paul is, you know, we do have. Well, we got freedom of contract, so the school board can say, hey, you want to be here, you want to be the principal or the superintendent, you got to live here. But also the Constitution gives us some liberty guidelines in there. But they're free to contract, so each person has a say in there. So I'm sure that's going to be, I can see why it's hotly debated, but having a principal in the community around, or superintendent in the community around, living around parents who have their kids in the school, it should be an important factor.
I think it's a very, very important factor. I think that your representatives need to find a way of making sure that on a daily basis they are in tune with what's going on with our students and their families.
Well,
and if she's doing that in an outside way, under the circumstances, under the budgetary circumstances, if we're not throwing that money away just on other stupid programs or hiring additional positions that don't need to be added in, then
well, I gave them 3 alternatives that are better than spending $40,000.
And what are those 3 alternatives?
We can hire more tutors to tutor our struggling kids. We can bring in 4 retired teachers to help out in the classroom, or we can hire 2 teaching assistants back. And this is, again, just 2 months after the district laid off 341 employees. Now, they needed to do some right sizing, but are we going too far taking teaching assistants and teachers out of the classroom?
Well, and
or
I think
diminishing and reducing some of the tutoring programs that we currently have in place. Not just adding even more, but even taking ones that are out.
well, because of effectiveness is what would be the reason to take a tutoring program out, because it's not really being effective. Is that what you're saying, or?
No, it was diminished because of, my understanding is that because we had a decreased enrollment, one of the factors were that we had to consolidate schools, which led to reduction in space. And so there was the dynamics of having to adjust around that, and where you're going to put the one-on-one tutors.
So they were removed for budgetary reasons, not whether they were
Yes,
effective or not.
and then there was also a policy change where we are, and there's lots of good research behind this, and good budgetary reasons for doing this as well. Teachers who are support staff go into the classroom now rather than pulling the students out. There's a number of reasons for doing that, and we could discuss those at a later time because it'd be kind of a long answer. But so those are two reasons why, and as a result of space constraints as well as some of the changes in policies, the programs had to spend 1 year really adjusting how we do things. We will now be meeting with students for a half hour rather than an hour, and we will be meeting in the hallways and in the classrooms. But we're going to have to rebuild programs that were cut down.
All right. You know, a lot of things get lost when we talk about budget items, but the one big thing that you hear in the paper a lot is, and this question will be for you, Mr. Igoe, will be the achievement gaps, whether it's the African American community or boys learning different than girls. Right now, fewer men are ending up going to college or higher education than women. So there's an achievement gap, yet these gaps that exist, yet it's huge budgets. What was it, $635 million? So what's your, how do you propose to raise achievement?
$636 million annual budget for 38,700 students. Achievement gap it's a national disgrace. The achievement gap in our St. Paul Public Schools is one of the worst in the nation. And it can be closed. I want to eliminate it. I think the three of us, when we're on that board, we'll get to work on that. It can be done. It's been done in Harlem. It's been done in Cincinnati. And I read a nice story, and I mentioned it last night, and I lost the article. There's African American. By the way, 70% of the students in the city of St. Paul schools are students of color. And that's where the gap is. So that tells you another story. So I think that this grandmother, they need mentors. They need, the big thing is parental involvement. But unfortunately, a lot of them don't have but one, and they can't get there because of work and so on and so forth. So it's up to these schools. I think we're on the right track with it. But I think that I know that this grandmother raised the money through her church, and had enough money to take a lot of those students, those high school students or middle school students, on field trips. And as I said last night, she didn't take them to the Valley Fair or Como Park. She took them to all black colleges and universities, and let them watch those graduates walk across that stage with those diploma in their hands. And those students, I'm telling you, their eyes were gapped and their jaws dropped like this, and it was so impressive, so impressive. And we have programs that are working in the public schools now, and we have models that are working tremendously. I don't know, I'm not it's just a matter of copying those, redoing those programs that are working for these students. And so it can be done, but they'd like to keep the status quo down there, and if they keep electing the same people that have special interest to protect, we're not going to be able to do that. And that's another thing I mentioned. I'm also a dues-paying member of a group called Students First. It's a group that's across the nation. They're trying to eliminate the last in, first out as far as teachers are concerned. So we have to get rid of some of these teachers and that aren't performing. I understand they've got some new regulations now that they're going to have to pass and so forth, but let these young, vibrant, new students that specialize in urban education come in and get in front of our students and teach them. That's all they want to do. but special interests stand in the way. And that's one of the reasons I'm running. I want to start eliminating some of that stuff.
Mrs. Paulson, what do you think about solutions to the achievement gap?
Well, first of all, again, it goes to a matter of perspective. Who are the educators? The educators are all of us. It is the teachers, it is the paras, it is the gym teachers, it is the janitors, it is the moms, the dads, the businessmen, the small businessmen, the college professors, and so many people in our community and in our churches who aren't recognized. Currently, in our African American and Asian communities that I'm more familiar with, and I'm very sure that it's in the American Indian community as well as in our Black American community. All of those together, they're actually doing things behind the scenes to eliminate that achievement gap. We need to partner with them more effectively. We need to partner with the African American sororities and the Vietnamese groups, and we need to make sure we're doing that. Because we need to train the trainers. We need to train people within the community to be able to help lead their community out. And we need to make sure that our parents know how to educate their children well and how to be involved, and we need to affirm that. And then partner with them. That's crucial. It's a missing piece. Well, it's not missing, but it's not strong enough. Another thing is we have to get them to attend better. You know, if kindergartners can go 11 days and miss 11 days of school in a row, that's substantial. So we need to increase attendance, and I really think technology is a big piece. Kids love technology. It's the wave of the future. It's where they're going to be able to get jobs. So we need to have some of these entrepreneurs who are well versed in the social media and in how to earn money on the internet and all these high-tech jobs that are coming out for the future. We need to have those experts coming in. They're part of the solution. Another solution is really making sure that we have partnerships with the hands-on expert industries. We need to get, what is that, junior league in more often. They will go into every classroom across the entire school system and really teach our kids about economics. You want to see kids' math scores go up? Let them know they can earn money and how they're going to do it. You know what? They're going to learn their basic skills. The manufacturing industry has various programs and classes that they will bring in and lead our kids out to colleges so that they can learn how math and science works in the technology or in the manufacturing industry. If we can show our kids that these are ways that they can get jobs, then that's great. Also, I really believe we need incentive pay. You know what? If we can save money in other areas of our administrative costs or some of our other, what I consider to be not the most effective use of money costs, and we can instead put them into effective education and instruction of teachers, then we'll see scores go up as well.
Well, speaking of that incentive pay, I mean, that's been, the legislature approved Q-Comp for those teachers that were showing achievement and improvement, you know. And the money's there, but they haven't used it because, you know why? The unions are fighting it.
Well, you know, I got another issue to raise with this, because there's a side, student achievement, if it's not up to standard, if there is this gap, it means people are falling behind. Students are falling behind.
Yeah. And
now, my sister happens to be running for school board out in Spokane, Washington. 10th grade passing level for math, 40%.
Mm-hmm.
40%. 95% of the kids going to the junior college have to take remedial math. So there's this gap there that kids aren't up to par, or the teachers or the parents, or you know, it's all of the above.
Right.
Yeah.
But what do you propose? And Mr. Hoopenbecker, maybe you could start with this question. How do we increase those math scores for people who are starting to fall behind? What kind of program exists? What's happening now, or what needs to happen?
Well, I think you mentioned it earlier. It's not only